Ladies and gentlemen, markets are moving higher today, as well as Tesla stock up about 0.5% at the time of recording this video, following, yes, some news for Tesla, but really the, as expected, inflation report. As you can see, the Russell 2000 is outperforming today the other indexes. The Russell is up 0.6%. So a little bit over 0.5%. The NASDAQ up 0.1%, S&P up 0.33%, and the Dow is up 0.4% today. The VIX, this is pretty notable, is down almost 5% to 14. So there's not a lot of fear out there today, and this inflation report just took more fear off the table. CPI today across the board came in as expected. Month over month came in at 0.3% for core, as was expected. Year over year, core came in at 3.3%. Expectation was 3.3%. Inflation month over month on the headline came in at 0.2%. Expectation was 0.2%. And year over year on the headline came in at 2.6%. That was also the expected number of 2.6%. So inflation just met expectations across the board. It didn't give us a upside surprise or a downside surprise, and that is seen today as good news because yesterday markets sold off in anticipation of maybe we get a hotter than expected inflation report. I talked about this in the last video that came out last night, that even an inflation report that is hot as was expected, it could still be a positive for markets. Also, what this CPI report did today was confirm that we are most likely going to get a cut in December, whereas yesterday there was some confusion, some hesitancy about what we could get in December, even from some Fed officials that said yesterday, if we get an inflation surprise to the upside before December, they may not cut rates. Well, that did not happen. Inflation came in as expected, and it's more likely now that we will actually get that cut for December. Now, as far as Tesla stock today, you're about break even. When I started this video about 5 minutes ago, you were up 0.5%. Markets really haven't moved. So Tesla itself is experiencing a lot of volatility today. Yes, there's a lot of bets going back and forth between what this inflation report means for the December Fed meeting, but also it has to do with the news that came out last night that Elon Musk and Vivek will be heading the DOGE government, I guess, consulting program. It's not something that they can enact laws or put laws in front of Congress. It's more of a consulting thing to Trump. Now, this is the Department of Government Efficiency, stands for DOGE. And they're basically going to look at ways to reduce fraud, reduce government spending, and try to better the government. Now, some people are taking this as bad news for Tesla because perhaps it means that Elon Musk is going to be focusing less on Tesla. We've seen these concerns back when Tesla briefly hit $102 per share or so back in early 2023. Now, yes, Elon was selling Twitter or buying Twitter at that time, and there were other things going on. He was selling Tesla stock. But some of the concern then was, well, Elon's not going to be as focused on Tesla. Some of those concerns are definitely still here. At this point, I think there's an upside surprise to be had when markets realize Elon's still solely focused on Tesla, right? That's kind of what happened back then was markets realized, oh, wait, Elon's not stepping down from the CEO role at Tesla, that Elon is doubling down at Tesla, and the stock went from 102 or so to about 220 just over the course of about a month following that low. So I personally think this is probably good news for Tesla in the grand scheme of things, but some of Wall Street is saying maybe it's going to take Elon's focus away from Tesla, which, yeah, I can see why that is causing some fear in the stock. Now, as far as the short interest of free float, that sits at 2.79%, unchanged from yesterday. You currently have $25.61 billion sold short in Tesla, totaling 77.97 million shares that are currently sold short. It looks like today you have about 912,000 shares that are being covered on. You have borrowed shares of 1.62 million. Or return shares of 1.62 million and borrowed shares of 708,000. So that gives you that 900 plus thousand number of shares actually being covered on. So yes, there is some shorts taking this opportunity to cover. Now, here on the day today, as far as option activity from hedge funds and institutions, you have 173 different trades totaling $106 million with a positive order value of 72%. So even though today is not the worst day, it's not the greatest day, hedge funds and institutions are still very bullish in Tesla options. And you can see 72% is a good number. I mean, anything above 50 is really a good number. But once you're getting into the 70s, 80s, or even 90s, those are exciting numbers. And we'll see once, the end of the day numbers actually hash out and we'll see how positive they actually are. But as of now, it looks really good. Now, in regards to the Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE program, Trump said, quote, "It will become potentially the Manhattan Project of our time." If you don't know what the Manhattan Project was, that was the code name for the program that developed nuclear weapons. So basically saying this is going to be huge. It says their objective is to slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies. Their work will conclude no later than July 4th, 2026. So this government program is going to last for about 18 months from the start of 2025, from the start of the presidency until July 4th, 2026. So it's not for the entire term, just for about the first 18 months or so. You can also see the biggest drags today on the headline S&P as well as the NASDAQ are Google and Nvidia. Now, specifically for Nvidia, you are getting some sympathy reaction from AMD. AMD confirms they are laying off over 1,000 of its employees to align resources with the largest growth opportunities. Whenever you get a competitor to NVIDIA like AMD saying they're going to lay off 4% of their workforce, it's not going to be seen as great news, especially considering NVIDIA still has not yet reported earnings, and we'll see what happens. There's going to be a lot of different analyst notes and commentary coming out before that report. In other news today, Tesla's Bitcoin holdings are now worth $1 billion because of the recent bull run, with Bitcoin hitting about $93,000 per coin today. Now, you could say this is good news, this is bad news. We're all going to have our own opinions on this, but Jim Cramer said that Tesla may be worth $2 to $3 trillion eventually. Now, I personally think Tesla's valuation could go much higher than that over the course of our lifetime. We're talking 10, 15, 20 plus trillion dollars over the next 10, 20, 30 years. Gordon Johnson says, and tags Tesla on X in this, says this is effectively a joke and a huge blow to Musk and Vivek. That is, if you read the fine print, this new DOGE department will provide advice and guidance from outside the government, glorified consultants. This is a massive nothing burger and quasi-fake office. Sawyer Merritt says, no, Gordon, your Tesla and Elon coverage is a joke. We can all say that's true. I mean, he has a price target of $23 and change on Tesla. Tesla's never going back to those prices. Even if we went through some kind of depression, I don't think Tesla would ever get back to those prices. But he goes on to say, if you think Elon won't make sweeping changes with the Department of Government Efficiency, then your understanding of the situation is as flawed as your view on Tesla's FSD. It is being reported today that Cybertrucks are now available in Tesla's online inventory in the US. Both Foundation Series all-wheel drive and Cyberbeast are available. Only select areas have them, though. but you're likely to see this inventory grow as more vehicles are starting to be produced and ultimately sold to customers. A recall for the drive inverter of the Cybertruck has gone out. Quote, a loss of drive power can increase the risk of a crash. This potentially affected 2,431 Cybertrucks, so you should check your VINs to see if you need to get your Cybertruck serviced. A survey conducted by EPSI among Norwegian electric vehicle drivers has determined that Tesla superchargers are still the most liked charging network in the country. And really, there's not much that even comes close to Tesla's superchargers. Xiaomi's CEO marked the rollout of the company's 100,000th electric vehicle from the assembly line with a picture of himself sleeping on the factory floor, paying homage to what Elon Musk did at Tesla years ago. Xiaomi's SU7 EV, which is a Model 3 competitor in China and cost $29,869 only started production 7 months ago. Being reported today that Ford is already cutting new EV production, despite the electric Explorer starting production just 5 months ago in Europe due to, quote, rapidly deteriorating market conditions for electric vehicles. Ford is putting the brakes on Explorer and Capri EV production. Employees will have the alternate between working 1 week and taking 1 week off until the Christmas vacation. Tesla's supplier, Cattle, and the world's biggest battery maker, will consider building a plant in the US if Trump opens the door to Chinese investment in the electric vehicle supply chain, the company's founder and chairman, Robin Zeng, said. He said, originally, when we wanted to invest in the US government said no. The Chinese billionaire said in an interview last week, for me, I'm really open-minded. It's being reported that XAI rivals are so worried about the Colossus H100 data center that they're flying spy planes over it. Literally spy planes. It says on a sunny day last month, a propeller plane made multiple passes in the air over a large industrial building surrounded by grassy fields near downtown Memphis, Tennessee, as its passengers snapped photographs and videos of the facility. I gotta say, that means Elon and XAI are doing something right, because those are pretty extreme measures to be taking. Elon Musk is in DC today attending a meeting between Trump and the House Republican Conference. He is seated in the front row, and let me just share you this clip. It's 17 seconds long. Elon gets a full standing ovation. Take a listen.
Elon has been celebrated. And we knew each other a little bit.
I mean, if there's anyone that can enact change in an office like the government, I think it would be Elon Musk. So I'm pretty excited to see what Elon and Vivek can come up with. Tesla's supercharger network was rated the #1 charging network in the UK. Quote, the network scored well on reliability, cost, and ease of use. Drivers most appreciated the network's value for money, which offers significantly lower prices than the many rapid/ultra rapid networks. Chuck Cook on X is reporting that the Tesla ADS operators are out validating an upcoming version of FSD supervised. Not sure if this could be V13 or another iteration of V12.5.6 point something. Looks like AI4 so far with a Cybertruck and Model Y. What does everyone else think? And I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. Again, back to the broader market, CPI, if you actually look at the decimal, came in lower than expected today. It came in on core of 0.28% in October. The median forecast was 0.30%, so it came in a little bit lower than the median forecast. You can see some banks' estimates were high though. Goldman Sachs at 0.31%, Numera 0.34%, TD Securities 0.32%, UBS at 0.36%, and underlying inflation at 0.32%. I mean, you did see some really high estimates heading into this report today, and it did come in generally lower than expected. as per most banks' forecasts. Sentiment for Tesla today is bearish at 38. Yesterday it was bearish at 42, so a little bit more bearish today than yesterday. Message volume today is high at 60. Yesterday it was high at 64, and the participation ratio today is normal at 54. Google Trends data for the Tesla lineup is continuing to show strength. The Cybertruck going from 32 to 36, the Model Y from 22 to 26, the Model 3 from 19 to 22, the Model S from 10 to 11, and the Model X from 8 to 9. So across the board, continuing to see strength in Google Trends, which is a good sign for Tesla's deliveries. CNN's Fear and Greed indicator is coming in at 68 today. Yesterday, you were at 67, so this is a little bit of an improvement in continued sentiment, and it actually just ticked up to 69, so getting closer to extreme greed, although you're still about 6 points away. Percent of stocks currently trading above their 50-day moving average is down about 1/3 today to 63.22%. So today's definitely not a super great day for the average stock. It's not a terrible day either, though. And your treasury yields are going up about 1.5 basis points today to 4.45%, which I have to say is not a great sign for markets as bond yields continue higher. Something is broken. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comments section. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.